In this lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to write the equation of a trend line if possible. And we're going to use technology to do that. So you're going to need to open up Desmos. And what we're going to do is enter lots of data, and we're going to end up graphing or plotting it over here in this region. So to begin, we're going to make a scatter plot letting x equals 0. So this is 1950, so this is 0. So 1960 would be 10, 20, 30, etc. So 2002 would be 52. So what we're going to do is enter this data in a table using Desmos. So come down here to the arrow there, and we're going to enter some data in here, the x and the y. So in the x1 category, I'm going to start with 1950, of course being 0. And over here, I'm going to put the 68.2. Continuing on, I'm going to hit enter and start putting more data in. 1960 corresponds to 10 years and 69.7. Continuing on, we have at 20 years, and I'm going to put 70.8. 30 years, 1980, is 73.7. 40 years, 1990, 75.4. And the year 2000 would be a 50. And that would be 76.9. And lastly, at 52 is 77.3. Now, when I drop down here, I don't see anything in my graph at all. So how do I manage that? Well, I need to shrink stuff down until I can see the data. So notice my data is showing up now, and I've got to squash things down until I get to the appropriate place. Okay, now notice as I see my data right here, I do see that there is a nice little line that's right there. However, it's asking me to find what the trend line is. So as it goes, I want to be able to predict what's happening over here or what's happened in between. So how do I do that? That's the key. So we know that my line is a line. So I'm going to put y equals mx plus b. So I press the A, B, C button there. M, and my x is my variable over there. And I'm going to say plus b is another variable. Okay, now notice what we get here. Down here, I have an m and a b. And it says add a slider. And let me explain what that slider does. As I press all, what I can do is, notice I have my graph right there. And so let me narrow in just a little bit, and then we'll correlate it to the data momentarily, is notice what the slider does, that as I slide the slope to be larger and smaller, notice that it rotates. And the same thing here. As I slide, it's going to change my b. Again, let me show you where b is. It's the intercept there. So notice the intercept is changing as it goes up and down, the intercept being right here. Okay, so let me adjust things. I need to make this adjustment go higher because it's got to go all the way up to pretty high, up to nearly 80. So I'm going to put 80 here, and the lower down there is maybe 65. Okay, and I don't know about my slope yet, so I'll get to that in just a second. So when I zoom in on the data up here, notice that as I adjust, I can get it to cross in the right place, right there if I need. Now I need to adjust this until it starts to line up, and notice, oh, it's a big jump, So how do I fix that? Well, if I go into this right here, notice that my slope is right now 0.1, so I might need to adjust that from 0 is a low, is a high, and maybe 0.2 there, and I'm going to make my steps, that is how often I change, and I'm going to make that change by 0.02 maybe. Done. Okay, so now as I do my adjustment and do this adjustment, notice the slight changes that happen. Boom. And now what happens here? Notice that this line right here, fits very well the data. And so what would my line of regression be? It would be, I would take the m that's here, so this m is 0.18, and my b is 67.7, and that would be my answer.